I don't care what you think of me. I don't care what you call me. I do care what you do with this information because it is important to our survival as a species. It's important to our planet. It is important for the world. What happens to me is of no consequence, and I knew that when I started this. And over the last 17 years, I knew that someday I was going to have to get up and say this, whether I wanted to or not, whether I was afraid or not. Now I am here, and now it is done. And I feel an overwhelming relief. You now have the information. You can laugh at it. You can throw it in the trash can. You can burn my house down if you want to. But I am telling you right now, your future, your children's future, your grandchildren's future depends upon what you do with this information. Your own government is selling your children drugs, and you don't seem to care. Your own government has given away the power of the people, and you don't seem to care. There is an apathy that is running rampant in this country that is deadly, whether or not there are aliens. We are truly now at this moment a nation of sheep. And ladies and gentlemen, I assure you that sheep are always led to the slaughter. But it does not have to be that way. There is tremendous power in knowledge. There is also tremendous power in secrecy. Take away that secrecy, you make sure that you're informed, and you can change things and stop fighting with each other.
Photographer who took the original photos. The arrow here is indicating what was very likely the rifleman on the grassy knoll, the man who fired the shot which penetrated Kennedy's throat from the front, not from behind as the Warren Commission would have you believe. Very interesting note also that the motorcycle policemen were told to remain behind the car at all times. Here you see the passenger in the front turning back, looking at the president. Instead of jumping back to assist him, he turns forward. The driver's now rotating. The weapon comes into view, and he fires. You'll see this repeatedly in these sequences. Kennedy's been shot in the throat. He's leaning to his left. The driver now begins to rotate. His left arm comes over his right shoulder, and he fires now. Again, you see the driver rotate. You see the weapon come into view. He's rotating again. The weapon is in view. He fires. You can clearly see his head turning and his arm and the weapon extending into view over his right shoulder. Many of the witnesses indicated that the car slowed almost to a virtual halt at about this point. And here in the normal version, you see how much more quickly it is speeded up. It's much harder to determine. Many of the people who asked the question why Jackie Kennedy did not report this, it should be fairly evident that she wasted no time in getting away from the attacker.
For those of you who were able to see it the first time out, pretty shocking, wasn't it? I bet it changes your mind about a lot of things. And if you still have any doubts, keep watching. But first, I'm going to show you and let you hear a statement made by President Dwight David Eisenhower when he left the office of president. He tried to warn us, and we didn't listen. I think it's time to hear his warning again. And this time, I think we had better listen.
Longtime crowd pleaser Dwight Eisenhower is in his final year in the White House. Much of the country is still satisfied with the father figure's easy grin, though he seems tired by now. He got the U.S. out of Korea, but the economy is a problem, and some are bored with his hold-the-line approach. There is a growing mood for change. Leaving office, he fires a broadside at 2 power centers that could destroy the world.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist.
I know some of you remember hearing that. I know that many of you have never heard it and didn't even know about it. And if you hadn't seen it on this video, might never have known about it for the rest of your life. Now you're going to see another tape. We sent the original copy of Dallas Revisited that we had obtained from John Lear, and another copy that we had obtained directly from Lars Hansen, to Japan for computer analysis. The Japanese computer analyzed the film. They agreed William Greer shot President Kennedy. No doubt about it. In fact, I woke up a whole nation, and that's what I set out to do. Only it's the wrong nation. I woke up Japan. They played that tape over and over again during prime time. The whole Japanese nation knows now who shot President Kennedy. They sent me back a color copy. Now, the color copy is better, much better than Dallas Revisited. But it's still not the best. But one thing that will help you, the act is circled, and they outlined what they found by computer analysis. So you're going to be able to see it a lot better this time around. Remember, keep your eyes on the driver.
一発目が発射された直後、画面右端の運転手が振り向き、肩越しにピストルで撃つのが見える。画面の右端に見える運転手の動作に注意するとわかる。ハンドルを握った右腕越しに左手でピストルを突き出している。もう一度見てみよう。間もなく運転手の頭が後ろを振り向くと同時に肩のところに白く光るピストルが出てくるのが見える。今後ろを振り向く。同じシーンを何度か繰り返してみるとよくわかる。
Well, I know that now a lot more of you have seen it.
The things that makes everybody wonder why Bill's life was snuffed out in 2001 was because in June of that year, Osama bin Laden, who was a relative unknown at that time, Bill had been following the news and found a lot of curiosities and went on the air predicting that there would be a major attack in the United States and that it would be blamed on Osama bin Laden, but he was literally the scapegoat that was being used, not truly behind the attacks. So that, I mean, just a few months before the events of September 11th, and then of course Bill's life cut short shortly thereafter.
Supposedly, a CNN reporter found Osama bin Laden, took a television camera crew with him, went into Osama bin Laden's hideout, interviewed him and his top leadership, and he came out and told everybody within 3 weeks Osama bin Laden is going to attack the United States and Israel. Now, don't you think that's kind of strange, folks? You see, because the largest intelligence apparatus in the world, with the biggest budget in the history of the world, has been looking for Osama bin Laden for years and years and years, and can't find him. Some doofus jerk-off reporter with a camera crew waltzes right into his hideout and interviews him. And I'm telling you, be prepared for a major attack. But it won't be Osama bin Laden. It will be those behind the New World Order. I wonder what Osama bin Laden's targets are supposed to be. And if they don't if this doesn't materialize in the next 2 or 3 weeks, it will eventually materialize because they haven't succeeded in getting the guns out of the hands of the American people, nor have they succeeded in taking our freedoms away. And so I can tell you with a certainty, they must do something terrible in order to stop this backlash and regain the sympathy of the mass herds of sheeple out there.